Hi, my name is Joe Jackson. I'm a journalist, author, interviewer and broadcaster. And back in 1989, I interviewed for an Irish rock magazine Pamela Des Barres, author of a relatively recently published memoir, I'm With the Band. Of course, I'd read the book before interviewing the woman, although sadly too many authors have told me that not all interviewers do. Shame on them. But I was particularly interested in trying to find out what deep down prompted Pamela to become a self-professed super groupie of the 1960s and 1970s. What follows? In this, the first of two podcasts based on the interview we did in Dublin's Shelbourne Hotel, hence the noisy piano player, is the section during which she and I discuss that very subject. By the way, if you want to read the article I wrote based on this chat, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com. And if you want to be informed of when I upload the second Pamela Des Barres podcast, you can subscribe to the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast on any podcast server or on YouTube. Either way, enjoy.
I was still coming from the 50s
carrying over
belief system going into the 60s. It was a confusing time for women especially. Well, for everyone. But I think for women especially, coming into that pre-women's lib climate where women were supposed to now think for themselves, do for themselves, create jobs for themselves, whatever we were supposed to do, coming from the time you were supposed to just cook dinner for your husband, So I was caught in between, I and all my peers were caught in between that time. So I always considered myself a real, flag-waving women's liber myself. I would stand on the Sunset Strip and take my birth control pill in front of everyone and make a statement that way.
Okay.
I was a woman in control of my body and what I was doing, what I wanted to do by sitting on, Alice Cooper's lap. I don't care what Germaine Greer or anybody thought of me. You know what I mean?
What did they think of you that you were letting down the side?
Yeah. They still feel, a lot of women's livers still feel that I'm just the antithesis of what they believe in.
Was
and
there an argument
they
for
wear
that?
pants and they're frigid, uptight jerks, most of them.
What about the element of when you say in the book that your favourite position was to hang on to the hand of an English pop star? Is that not really kind of...
Oh, people think it's
reducing
demeaning. Yeah, I guess
the
it
woman's
was.
role.
I guess it was at the time. But I watched my mom kiss my dad's ass all my life, and I had that ingrained in me. I wanted to be a part of a man's life, but I wanted to be with a musician because I love music, and I couldn't carry a dang tune myself, so I...
But have you liberated yourself? I mean, what about the thinking that groupies too are just reducing women to being total servants of men?
It depends on what kind of groupie you are. That's such a big word. That's
okay.
I never had a one-night stand. I never slept with more than one member of the band. I had real scruples about it. And
but were you living just to service? If that's the accusation they make.
No, because I had my own band. I went as far as attempting to step out on my own with the Frank Zappa-based, rock and roll all-girl. It was the first all-girl band. So I felt like I had to contribute. In fact, I did. Everybody copied the GTOs. Everybody copied the way we looked, the way we dressed, the things we said. Gene Simmons from Kiss has said in print many times that he took the look from the GTOs. He's got his top knot from Miss Christine and the big star on Paul's
Do you get the
eye.
accusation often of having let basically women down?
I get the accusation of what?
Having let women down. Letting down, be they feminist or post-feminist.
Fuck them.
But do you get that?
On occasion, not usually, no. Not more than not. It's not like an oppressive...
abundance.
Right, it's just... But some people feel that way. That's fine, great. Let them feel that way. I lived a certain life. I had such a great... I'm still living a certain life.
Would you never perceive yourself as an absolute equal of, or did you always?
Equal?
Or do you now need a man in your life to establish your... you never thought you were an equal?
I've been alone for 2 years now.
Why did you never think you were an equal?
Because...
Of males?
Because of my situation with my father. It's a long story. I've been in therapy over it.
Right, okay.
But yeah, I idolized my father as opposed to feeling equal with him. I put him on a pedestal, idolized him, and therefore transferred it into all men. And I went up to the highest peak I could. But instead of many, many girls who idolized their father from my generation and idolized, Paul McCartney or whatever, I went after these people and got them. So I was different in a way.
Were you going after your father through them? Is that what you've been told in therapy? Mm-hmm. So did you then also fantasize about fucking your father?
No.
Was that not part? Is that too black? Is that going too far into kind of being liberated from 50s? ethos.
No, I didn't have.
1850s
I
Freud.
didn't have physical desire for my father, so
Okay.
it wasn't like that. I was looking for more of a. I don't know. I wanted love. That's really what I wanted. My father did love me, but he came from the era too where he couldn't show that.
But do you feel have you rid yourself of that now?
Almost.
Almost. Okay. 40-year
That's
journey.
why I've been alone 2 years. Really.
Do you feel you needed that to do so?
Yeah. I really want to feel equal with him. And to be perfectly honest, I never have.
Okay. But didn't you feel that yourself by kind of living in a world where you were seeing and servicing them? Isn't that part of the
Yeah,
upshot?
well, sure. That was that's why I felt that way. I had to release
Right.
myself.
You.
It is sad, So last night on Dave Fanning's show, he said he was reading some review. I guess it was in England because most people are very frigid, tight there. About how it was pathetic. I had lived a pathetic life. God, what has that person done who wrote that? Probably sit in an office and twiddle himself. I have lived a fascinating, amazing, full, and I'm still like in the throes of. Every day. My kind of life is the kind where every day you wake up and say, "What is going to happen today?" And it's been like that my whole life. And it's a journey, it's an adventure, and it's a thrill every day.
Right, those the link to your father. There was also in the book I found in your adolescence. You had this kind of on one side you were a slave of romantic love songs like Unchained Melody or
Right.
Don't Count Stars. Very ironic quote you used in that, or You May Stumble.
Yeah.
And on the other side you had Jagger singing I'm a King Bee, Let Me Come Inside.
Right.
Was there any?
It
Was it
was
hard
a
to
dichotomy.
reconcile the romanticism with just throbbing between your legs when you heard Jagger, and then the longing for romantic love? Was that the disassociation you had to make?
Now that's interesting. You should be a therapist. No, no, I was trying to combine the two.
Trying to be a journalist.
No, I was trying to combine the two.
Were you?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to integrate the two. That's the whole thing. We all want to. We all want to have a steamy relationship. That's what I think. That's what we're all looking for.
Achieved
To
it.
me, no. What happens
Have
to
you not
me
even
is
achieved
I
that?
get romantically attached.
Have you not achieved that in all the time?
Yes,
Be
I
honest.
have. No, I have a couple of times, but most of the time, I find myself becoming. My heart gets involved. I always say this is a very private thing. I always say, but you'll probably print it.
Depends. I
Well,
may not.
when the dick goes in, I fall in love. That's usually what happens.
Do you ever fall in love before the dick goes in? Or is it with the dick you fall in love with the person?
No,
No, you can't answer that. That's not a trick question.
I have fallen almost in love before the dick went in.
Pre-dick phase.
Yes, almost. But once
is
it
this
goes
dick?
in, my God. Then, because I guess I'm just, that's part of being a slave, I believe,
Slave what?
Men.
A slave of your own sexual.
Yeah, but
Appetite.
what I'm actually referring to at this point is, because I believe very much in reincarnation, and women have been in bondage to men through many, 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 many lifetimes. And I think I've been a woman, a slave, many, many times. And I'm really fighting that this lifetime around. I really feel like I'm working
is
hard
that-
on that.
Some might see that as a kind of palate
A what?
attempt to kind of just justify.
Well, that's just one of the things I've said. If that was all I was saying, right, that might be it, right? If you just said that one line, they would feel that way.
Okay, well, there was a part in the book where you wrote down that the new heart that had grown between my legs was beating only for this exquisite moron. Wonderful juxtaposition. But was that not where you finally reconciled the romanticism with the kind of
Yeah.
sexual longing and said,
Yeah, well,
"Fuck
that's
it,"
the first
or "Fuck
time.
it"?
That's the first time I was getting laid was with that guy.
Yeah.
That's the first time I went all the way.
But the acceptance, it's a lovely phrase, the fact you're able to say the heart between my legs, because
Yeah.
it's the essence of what I'm saying that
Yes.
you're suggesting a lot of women need to do. The heart up there and the heart down there
Yeah,
needn't
right.
necessarily always be linked.
Well, gosh, if that were the case, then we'd really, women would really be in trouble. They're already in subjugation, It's horrible.
But they should be released from that.
I agree. Oh, yeah, I agree
Because men have
with you.
been for so long.
For so long. The double standard is profound today.
Right.
It hasn't lessened at all, I don't think.
Okay. And in terms of, you're a connoisseur of head. Would that have been returned? How did you didn't lose your virginity until you were 20, so how did you deal with your own need to release sexual tension? I mean, you were giving it all the time.
I know.
Was that just the classic position
Yes,
of women in the
yeah.
60s?
Well, no, it was me. I was always wanting to give. I still am always too willing to give. I'm learning in therapy now to receive.
But did some of the rock stars return the compliment?
Oh yes, always.
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 They all gave head back.
Yeah, these guys were wild sexually, all of them.
Good.
Wild,
So
very
you
free.
weren't sexually
people.
frustrated pre-losing virginity?
No,
No, you weren't. Because some might imagine that.
because I hadn't had penetration yet, so you don't know. You just don't know what you're missing, and and so yes, I was absolutely satisfied. Making out satisfied me a lot of the time, because I could just get so into it, and I still can.
Was there homosexual attraction to Beverly?
Oh yeah, I've been attracted to women before. I've never actually full-on had a relationship with one though.
Why?
It hasn't presented itself.
Minus dick, you couldn't fall in love.
No, I don't know about that. I probably could, but it's so. I mean, it's an individual thing,
Right.
There was actually one girl I had a crush on that was unrequited, and it was kind of sad, but nothing ever physical happened.
Also, you loved her. I mean, you
I
wrote
loved
very
her.
touchingly of her grief and the way slamming the door hit like
still
a
love
stomach
her.
ache. I mean, it was lovely imagery.
I miss her very much.
It's very, very touching. Does it annoy you that perhaps the book is being perceived as
Yes,
that?
it
I
makes
saw it
me
as far much
sad.
more than.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I can tell by the questions you're asking you did. But no, most people don't go anywhere near as deep as you're going right now.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm flicking them at you. But no, that was my reaction to the book when I read it.
Hi, Joe Jackson here again. I thank you for listening to this edition of the Joe Jackson Interviews podcast. And don't forget, if you want to read the article I wrote based on this conversation with Pamela Des Barres in 1989, check out my website, joejacksoninterviewer.com.